Oh, good. It's Faction Wars, not Fraction Wars. I was worried I was going to have to do math. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends. And first of all, I kind of want to apologize to you guys for just not covering hard faction wars as much as I really wanted to. It has been a bit of a struggle lately for me, not to do videos specifically because of videos, but because I just have not had a lot of time because there's been a lot of stuff on my plate. And with that said, let me know how you guys are doing in the comments below. I'm honestly kind of curious, outside of Raid, how you doing? Hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully things are going great for you. And if not, hopefully this video puts a smile on your face. You have some fun with it, and hopefully things are doing well. As I said, for me, things have been a bit of a struggle. I've had some car issues, and we've had a couple family health issues recently. But for the most part, my health is doing okay. Everyone else is in a better place right now than they were before, and we're straightening out the car issues. Car issues are car issues. They happen. But you know what? Life comes before Raid. Hopefully that should be the case for you as well. And you know, Raid hopefully is injecting a little bit of fun. And with that said, we're here to talk about Faction Wars Hard, because Faction Wars Hard is here, and there's some good stuff about it. There's some not so good stuff about it. Some of it are just teething pains, and I just kind of want to talk about it just a little bit. Now, first of all, one of the things I do want to bring to everyone's attention, it's something that I sometimes don't pay attention to because of how I'm so used to doing Faction Wars. So it's probably something that is going to need to change for a lot of how we deal with Faction Wars, at least for just a little while, for people that are doing hard faction. And that is the Faction Wars quest, specifically the do a hard Faction Wars, well, not do a hard Faction Wars, but to do a Faction Wars boss quest and to do a rare in Faction Wars quest. Now, the rare, for me, was generally an issue because I had actually integrated rares into most of my Faction Wars teams. So that wasn't a big problem. It weren't in all of them, but they weren't enough of them where I was guaranteed to run a rare in almost every faction. For the most part, I almost was not running my last two Faction Wars keys, and that actually gave me the opportunity to do these if I missed them for some strange reason on the first runs of stage 20 or 21. And the Faction War boss is another one as well. Usually I'll often, if I don't know the quests are there, I'll just pick whichever faction I run 21 quicker in and just run 21, oftentimes with a rare. It ran under a minute, wasn't a big deal. Now in Faction Wars Hard, right now, nobody has access to a Faction Wars boss. So I actually had to skip doing one set of keys for Faction Wars Hard to get that quest. Now that quest is only like 5 or 10 gems, which is, you know, a little bit, but it was also a free refill. So I decided that it wasn't worth me trying to scream to the end of Faction Wars Hard, because honestly, I know I'm going to get tripped up somewhere anyway. And, you know, whether or not you want to worry about that is going to be up to you, but do be aware of those advanced quests before you start running all of your Faction Wars keys so that you can get some of those Faction War quests done. Some of the ones for doing rares in your Faction Wars might be harder than others in this particular hard scenario. In this case today, for example, it was actually easier than normal to use a rare, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Whereas yesterday, I completely and utterly missed the fact that I had the quest, ran all of my keys on both factions without a rare, and then didn't actually finish the quest. You know, it's not the worst scenario for you to miss an advanced quest or two, and unfortunately missing one advanced quest misses 2 of them, but it's certainly something to pay attention to, so do keep an eye out on that. So, in doing basically 3, 6, 12, or 11 Faction Wars, and getting, of course, the whatever reward you're getting for completing some of those stars. So I've gotten 11 of them done, and I've gotten 3 stars on all 11 of them. And I have gotten 132 of these crafting fragments of the light ones here. I think a lot of them were from the reward for whatever level it was. I don't know what level it was, but one of the early levels gets you some of these things. I've already forged one of the relics. In fact, I got lucky. I actually forged one of the clan relics too. I got an epic one. Which one did I get? It was, here we go. This one, I got the Hammer of Ending, which actually looks pretty good. Maybe useful in Faction Wars actually, because stun is actually really, really useful in hard Faction Wars right now. But, it looks like we're getting these at a reasonable-ish rate. Again, you know, I tried enough to forge yesterday, and then I've earned more, so I've gotten enough, and I suspect we'll be able to forge 2 or 3 relics a week just off of hard Faction Wars, and that's just at doing the very, very early stages. And I think that's good, because I think that they have limited how we can forge relics so much that there's a really glut of being unable to do a lot of relic stuff. So being able to get more relics faster will help a little bit with getting people to eventually be able to ascend things to the full 6 stars. And it also is another reason to focus on getting faction wars done, both for the regular to get Lydia, but now to finish getting Lydia and open up hard, because that's the best place to get relics now. So I think that's good. I think that that's good for growth in the game. I think that's good for content in general. So I'm pretty happy with the rewards so far for hard faction wars. And, I cannot complain at all about that. Before you watch the video any further, did you know you can use the link down below and start a brand new raid account and get 2 amazing epics? You can get Rector Drath. You'll get her right from the start, right after the tutorial. And once at level 15, you will get yourself an Ugo. Rector Drath is an amazing support reviver. She will heal your team. She will give you perfect veils to protect you. She will throw decrease attack up there. And she has a revive, making it very easy to get through in the early game. And then on top of that, Ugo, you get at level 15 again, is a wonderful support champion. She does decreased defense, she does block buffs, she does healing, she does cleansing. She is an absolute great champion. Very helpful early game, very helpful at end game. They are very good champions in Hydra. They are very good champions all over the game. I use them regularly on every account that I work on. They are great champions and you can get them for free. But not only that, but in the first 72 hours of your account, you can use code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong, or you can use Supreme 6 to get yourself a Supreme Gallic. Both are amazing legendaries. Supreme 6 is a void legendary, so go for Gallic, I suspect. But you know what? Either one of them is absolutely amazing. Start a brand new account today. The steps are very easy. Log out of your Polarium Play account on PC or simply uninstall Polarium Play. Create a brand new account using the link. Download from there, run the install. It'll start up Polarium Play, and boom, there's your new account. If you are on Android or iOS, if you've never played before, you can download using my link and get the same benefits as well. It is an absolutely amazing way to start a brand new account, be it a free-to-play, be it a high-spend account, whatever you want to do. It helps support me, it helps get you into the game, and it's a great way to have some fun. Now let's get back to the video. Now, one of the things that I have found about hard faction wars is it definitely is a little more manual to get the 3 stars the first time. I don't mind manual, and it's a good chance that each of these is going to be manual once, and then it's going to be set and forget it, because you only need to get 3 stars once, and then you can run it as many times as you want to, as often as you want to, and just blow through it with damage or whatever else. So what I have found so far is that some of these stages are very particular with what type of champions you're going to need. So if you don't have an expanded roster, you are going to need specific gear sets. Specifically, the value of the toxic set has climbed significantly because there's at least one stage in Undead where you need to get 20 poisons. Now, I happen to have a Bad Owl that I had booked from ages ago and never finished building. And I grabbed him, I threw some gear on him, finished building him, and Bad Owl made it really easy because that got me 10 poisons per use of his A3. So getting 20 poisons over 3 stages was not that hard. I did still manually run it to make sure I didn't blow through them too quickly. But other champions that certainly worked well was like Frozen Banshee was actually in that team as well because she threw out additional poisons possibly. Although get her fast enough to do poisons effectively was not particularly good. But, if you don't have a lot of poison undead, that could be a problem. Same thing with Provoke. Same thing with Stun. Those are 3 of the conditions I've seen so far that were kind of champion specific, but they're certainly gear specific as well. So Provoke sets are going to have a significant increase in value, and that's going to mean farming the Ice Golem is going to be helpful. That means stun sets, already super valuable, but will continue to be valuable for faction wars, especially for the stages where you have to stun 10 or 20 different champions. I think it's only 10 for the provokes and the stuns, but if you don't have an AoE provoker or you don't have an AoE stunner, you're going to definitely want those sets. But those sets are going to make it difficult because those sets don't have a 100% perfect chance, although they do have a chance on every skill. So if you have somebody with lots of AoEs, you can put them on the person with lots of AoEs, say like a Necmo Thar, for example, who is all AoEs, and you can get a bunch of provokes out there without having a dedicated provoker. But it certainly means you're going to work on identifying champions that have some of those skills. So you're going to want to identify a poisoner probably in every faction. You're probably going to identify a burner in every faction if you can, because some stages are going to require burns. I know one of the demon spawn ones did it well. You're going to want to identify provokers. You're going to identify stunners. And if you don't have some of those champions, then you may have to continue to pull shards, or you're going to have to find gear sets that help you with that. Burn is going to be a difficult one for some people. Now, the good news is some of these stages are actually pretty well kept, and we'll certainly talk about that. But burn could be problematic because there's no set that actually puts burn out there, at least not yet. Will there ever be one? Maybe. I don't know. It would probably need to be a dungeon set, and that would mean they need to redesign a dungeon set of some kind. So who knows if that'll ever happen. But you can get Toxic Set, which generally I found Toxic Set is only really useful in the very early game because it's really only useful to put on a single champion in Clan Boss or in a couple of builds for some solo stuff in the earlier dungeons. Since poisons have certainly fallen off, and the fact that it was only one poison, it was a low-end poison, and it was only 75% of the time, it was not the greatest set for a lot of reasons, but it was certainly extra damage where you might need it, especially, say, in Clan Boss, for example. So there was a reason for it to exist. It just was not the greatest set. So now there might be some good use for it because you may want champions with lots of AoEs to have that poison set so they can actually get those poisons out against the enemy team. So I want to highlight a few champions that are free that so far have actually helped with a couple of the faction war stages. So that has actually been very, very helpful. And I think it's actually good that some of these are champions that have been easy to get or long time to get that could definitely help you out. So Archmage Helmet is the easiest Doom Tower champion to get because he is the first one you get from normal Doom Tower Secret Room. In fact, I almost have him on my free to play. I might finish getting him on the next rotation, which would be absolutely amazing because I need some help in my Bannerlords, and he's actually a beast of a champion. Specifically, the Bannerlords have a stun requirement on one of the floors, and I have this filter here is specifically for champions that have stun in Bannerlords that are on my account. And you'll notice we have Stultus here, a legendary that you have to pull. Good champion. Probably not the best build for that content, although I did just throw a accuracy banner on him to get it done. We have Riskarum, who apparently can do a stun on the A1 at a 20% chance, buffable to 30%. That is not going to get you through. And then apparently this uncommon can stun somehow. 75% chance on a single target. Again, that's going to be very difficult for you to get done. Archmage has attacks one enemy and then attacks everyone else if the first hit is critical. The second hit has a 50% chance, bookable to 75 chance to stun for one turn. So you get an AoE up to 4 champions chance to stun. That's good. It's certainly not the best stun, but it's pretty solid. And after attacking, decreases the turn meters for enemies without a stun by 20%. So it's a turn meter control and stun at the same time. And it turns out this actually hits fairly hard. Now, he's an epic champion, and he's probably not going to have, like, arena level nuker damage, but he does enough damage that I've actually built him in a Savage and Cruel set with enough accuracy, and he does good damage. So it helps clear the waves, and he gives me a lot of utility as well. But he's also super useful because he's got the triple buffs here, so he's good with Seer comps in classic Seer teams. Increased speed is always a great ability. Increased crit rate is very, very good. Especially for faction wars where you may not have 100% crit rate on a lot of your champions. So it adds some extra damage to your champions, and increased crit rate's actually great as well. Now, what I found is I wanted to lead with a stun, not lead with this skill like I normally might otherwise. Part of the reason that was important is these floors are going to have speeds over 200, maybe even 250. So, I mean, he was going fast enough where he was taking a turn before the enemy was, but of course he's 258 speed here. But, Stultus was not. Stultus was not fast enough to go before the enemy team. Of course, again, he's 160-ish speed, so he's not super fast, and he's notably slow because that's just the build that I have for him for Dragon, because that's what works for me with his Dragon build. And yeah, certainly need to pay attention to that. It's probably going to be nice to have another stunner, so you might actually end up grabbing this uncommon. She'll probably be very, very easy to book for that particular stage if all you've got is Archmage. But again, control is great as well, because here's the other thing too. If you're doing a stage where you're required to get poisons, well, Archmage could still be good because you don't have to have the poisons a tick. You just need to get them on the champions. So stunning your enemies and dropping their turn meter and speeding up your own champions will make sure that you get more turns, which lets you get more abilities out. Now, in some cases, usually you're doing that to kill the enemy faster, but since you have to land all these debuffs, being able to cycle through them quickly is certainly going to be very helpful. Shifting to the demon spawn a little bit, they had a burn stage, and while you see my Akoth is not particularly well geared, I think I geared him for a demon spawn only spider thing. Akoth gives you burn, and that can be very helpful. And if you're struggling for burn champions early, he is the second Doom Tower champion that you can get from the normal Doom Tower. So he is maybe he's the third. I don't remember if he's the second or third. Maybe Rion's the second, he's the third. But he's somebody that you will probably have. Maybe you'll have him when you're in Hard Faction Wars. If you get a Hard Faction Wars unlocked very early, maybe you won't. But he's an accessible champion for Hard Faction Wars because he's got the attack all enemies with some shields, but he's got this thing here, which 20% chance of placing an HP burn and increases by 20% for each alive champion. So if there are 5 enemies on the enemy team, he's got a 100% chance of placing this HP burn on a 3-turn cooldown that does not require books. So the investment into Akoth is very minimal, making him a very good champion for getting into this. Obviously, you're going to need enough accuracy and speed, but that's really all you need on him as well. So you can throw kind of meh gear on him and carry him along your team and get those burns out there as well. Otherwise, Drexstar is certainly an option as well. The problem with Drexstar as far as being a burn source is that he needs to either be attacked and land that burn, which means you're going to want to book him, or you got to use this A1 to do damage and hope that you land the burns when you're landing the burns here. Now you can see mine is not fully booked, but I did manage to book this up fully, which is great because now he's got a 75% chance of landing HP burn when somebody attacks him. You don't need to book him. He works fine with that 55% chance, but 75% chance is a much better thing. And for chances where you're relying on burn to do big work for you, especially in some of the Doom Tower bosses, I think that it is worth some of the investment in books here. Now, Drexstar has actually found his way back into several teams for me. He's actually really useful against Amius because he can help keep that burn up, because Amius, whenever he attacks, has a chance of getting burn back on him with Drexstar every single time. Drexstar, being a defense-based champion, is fairly tanky, and this A1 heals him by some amount if he's attacking somebody under HP burn, and it hits okay, does decent-ish damage. So Drexstar, easy to get with 3v3. You do need to grind 3v3, but after that, it's 100-ish days, probably 125. It's probably about accurate. So maybe you should have him around day 150-ish, hopefully, on an account if you've been trying for him. It does depend a little bit on how hard you're going into 3v3, and you have to remember to actually buy the fragments every day. And since it's a 24-hour counter from the moment you buy them, it takes a little while. But he is a very, very good champion. He also gives you a provoke. Now, the provoke chance here is only 40% chance, books up to 50 or 60% chance. But since provoke is definitely a thing, well, that's, nice to know that you've got another opportunity for provokes and for burns, which are going to be conditions probably in several floors in the demon spawn. So he is useful for multiple demon spawn trials as a free champion. So that's pretty good so far. So those are some of the free champions that I have kind of wanted to highlight. Let's go check and make sure that there aren't any more. Okay, checking a few more of the stages that we've done so far. Lady Mikage, this shouldn't come as a surprise. Absolutely amazing. Lady Mikage is great because she gives you the stuns, and she gives you some turn meter control, and she gives you some buff strippage. So she will be useful for any stun-based wave content. She will be useful for, there's a couple of them where you have to do enough damage to a particular person on a single skill use. Well, her ally attack will certainly help with that as well. She will definitely add a bunch of damage, but honestly, her second form is where you're probably going to find the most value for in Faction Wars Hard, and that is because you've got this strip here with the weaken and remove the buffs, and increase accuracy, which can be very helpful as well, because some of these, there's some more resistance on these waves than some of the other traditional Faction Wars. And then, of course, the AoE stun with decreased turn meter. And finally, an A1 sleep. So for just making sure you're controlling the waves to make sure you get all of the quests done before you continue and solve the floor, nice and easy and very good for support. Obviously, this is not the heavy damage run. The heavy damage run is more on the other side, but again, that can be very helpful as well. And in fact, if there are any things where you must do things under a certain amount of buffs, well, not only is she going to be putting out 2 extra buffs here with this Imperial Decree, but she then extends the duration of buffs as well, making it easier for you to keep up multiple buffs for a long time. Plus she increases the duration of enemy buffs to decrease those and other stuff like that too. So very, very good champion. So she is certainly going to help you as well. Another champion I do want to highlight that I think will be very, very valuable. I can tell you there is going to be a stun floor in Barbarians on at least one of the floors. And Scylla the Drakes is going to be absolutely amazing for it because she's got a very, very good 35% chance to land stun, but it's a double hitter. So it's 35% chance on each hit. So this is over a 50% chance for this. And since you probably want to build her Relentless, she's going to get this back fairly quickly. Scylla Drake's going to be very, very good as well for keeping everyone alive. So don't underestimate Scylla Drakes. I know there's a lot of people that have said that she's been power crept out of certain content. I still love her in Amius. She's still very useful in early Fire Knight for a lot of people and a lot of teams. I know my current team right now in Fire Knight 25 on my free-to-play would love a Scylla the Drakes because Scylla Drakes would be a major improvement over Tagore at the moment just for the wave control as well as the decreased speed, which is something I actually don't have on that team right now. So Syl is a very good champion, and honestly, I think she's going to see a big resurgence in value for Barbarian Faction Wars Hard. So there you go. If you are looking for specific stage guides, let me know. I can start breaking down specific stages, but I kind of wanted to break down a little more in general some of the stuff that I was noticing so far and highlight a couple of free champions that will be helpful for Faction Wars Hard. And Polarium's actually done a fairly good job so far of lining up the factions with both champions that seem to be accessible for it, as well as offering free champions for some of the early stages in Hard Faction Wars, either using really old ones. For example, I mentioned Archmage Helmet as a good go-to for one of the Bannerlord stages, and he is by far one of the older champions, maybe the oldest one I've talked about so far, other than maybe Syl. I don't know. They were both in the game when I started. So Polarium's done a good job with Faction Wars Hard. Is this the most amazing content ever? You know, maybe, maybe not. It's a lot of one and done content, which is good and bad. It gives you a lot of stuff to do. It's a lot of new and interesting stuff to tackle. And to be fair, it has been kind of fun looking at the floors, seeing what kind of thing I need to do, and figuring out a good team that will both do it fairly efficiently and fairly quickly, while not necessarily requiring a lot of additional investment if I can avoid it. So it's been fun. It has been definitely an interesting ride so far, and I am enjoying Hard Faction Wars. But what about you? Let me know. Again, let me know if there's any stages you want me to talk about specifically. I can certainly start making some specific content for Hard Faction Wars. But I think overall, this is a very good update to what's going to be important, some of the things you should pay attention to just on a basic level, and just make sure that your champions are going to be fast, because you're going to need more than 200 speed. You're probably going to eventually need more than 250 speed for some of these floors. And, you know, so speed's going to kill. Your stats are going to be important. Don't forget about your Great Hall. That's going to help you a lot. And, hey, work on getting those Faction Wars floors done. So, hey, appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.